Hey guys, all right, the next question is, what type of freelance work can you get into with little to no experience? When I'm posting a job on Upwork or something, one job that I typically really don't even look into if they have the experience or not is usually some type of either like research job or maybe data mining or just helping me with some admin stuff, because either they could follow directions that I'm going to be providing or they can't. So it really comes down to whether or not they're competent people. A lot of the research stuff, it just requires you to know how to use Google. A lot of the admin stuff really only requires you to know like Google Docs. And then if it comes into more crazy stuff, you could usually just make a video or something like that and tell them what you want and what you need, and they can figure it out. Again, it comes down to competency, whether they want to actually fulfill their obligation or not. And I think that's maybe a little tough in the beginning if you don't have any work experience. But again, as long as the person seems trustworthy and they're not just going to completely screw me over, I'll give them a chance at that stuff. The other more technical stuff, I'd like to see a little more proof in what they've done in the past, or if they have exceptional feedback for what they've done, or if they've done stuff personally, maybe they can reference that material. But if there's zero experience, then I would get into something that you can typically learn on your own. Now, a lot of things, even what I do, I figured out on my own, and it wasn't until I actually started utilizing what I learned with a client. I didn't have actual experience to back it up. Like, a lot of the stuff that I do is super nuanced to what they have business-wise. So, when I started working with doctors or lawyers or whatever, it's not necessarily like I worked with a doctor or a lawyer before. It's, maybe there was some crossover with some platforms. Maybe they had new software platforms that I had to kind of learn on my own and watch videos on and be like, okay, that makes sense. And, you take a little bit of training time on your own to discover that. A lot of the jobs I take, you could be doing the same thing. So you may not have real experience, but you can certainly learn a lot of the stuff. It's not rocket science. It's not like you have to go to school for 5-6 years to understand a lot of these concepts. There's a wealth of information out there. There's YouTube videos about everything. There's guys like me who make blogs that like really go through thoroughly how to learn this stuff. So, I think it's more about the particular the person's conviction to make this job go through, because what you see so often is the opposite, and they are given an opportunity. At least this has been my experience. They are given an opportunity and they blow it. They duck out, they stop responding for weeks at a time. They make up excuses like, oh, there was a tornado or an earthquake or bad power loss and stuff like that. It's always some crazy catastrophic experience. And honestly, for sure, shit happens. I have a life, everybody has a life, it's totally understandable. But, there's a difference between the people that just don't respond back in a week's time and are like, oh, this happened to me, and it's, 80% usually a bullshit story, and you can tell. Or there's the people that just figure out how to get it done despite life. And those are the people that you want to work with, because that come hell or high water, even when life happens, which it will, they may go through a crazy divorce, they may go through a family member dying, this is life, this is what we all have to deal with. And of course, as an employer, you gotta make time for that stuff. It's not like I'm gonna ridicule you for dealing with that stuff, but there's a difference between the people that still figure out how to get the work done despite life, because we're all dealing with life. But some people, a majority of people that I've worked with on, as freelancers, duck out, respond back in like a month with some crazy story, and it's like, bro, you couldn't, just drop me a line, let me know while you're going through this, so I could actually maybe help you go through this, right? Like, and that's the difference. Because if I'm taking on a client and life happened to me, I absolutely would not cancel out my career just because life happened. I would let them know, hey, I am going through some crazy stuff right now, which has happened. And if you know me, like, it's every couple months something crazy happens. That's life. And you let the people know who you're working with. You have to show them the same respect as you would want to see from them. Do you appreciate it when a client just stops responding to you and you have to figure out like what's happening with this person? Like, what, you care about this person, yeah, and you want the work done. So it's kind of, it's weird, but it happens all the time, and you need to, make sure that that's really the most important skill set of everything. So the experience can happen on its own. It's conviction. It's, figuring out how to learn it despite life. Like, are you going to still train yourself and learn stuff despite life? And so I would consider doing all that stuff, and you're going to gain the experience just passively, just learning stuff. You're going to educate yourself. Like, that's just as good as experience sometimes. Maybe it doesn't hold as much water as, an awesome review where it's specifically lining up with what the client needs. But man, going in and having a conversation with the client before he hires you and say, I know how to do all of this, and I learned it here, and blah, 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 and I can hit the ground running, and you can confidently say that and sell yourself, it's just as good, man. And as someone that does a lot of hiring, it would be good enough for me if I really did trust that person and I knew that he was going to show up or she was going to show up. So I hope that helps. Again, that question was, what type of freelance work can you get into with little to no experience? Thanks for the question. Talk soon. Bye-bye.